So can you tell me about your family and like just tell me like where you're from, like your heritage and where you are from and those kinds of things.
Yeah. So my so I'm from Tennessee. I was born in Utah. Um, my mom is from Mexico, and then my dad's mom is from Costa Rica. And just like in regards to like when people ask those questions, I feel like it's best to just be like, I don't know, like like what you did, um, like because we're good friends, you know. But like when other people like strangers like, where are you from? And then I'm like, Tennessee, like, no, where are you from? It's like rude, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like with this, it's like, you know me, blah blah blah. But yeah.
Thank you. Can you describe your typical day at school or work?
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about school, can you like more high school, like K through 12?
So like when I was in high school,
Yeah, that'd be
um,
the best.
yeah, in high school, I would get a ride from one of my friends, and then get to school. Depending on the year, I would go to fresh or my first class, my first period, and then my senior year, I would just hang out and so I was a student body vice president, and we had a little office, and I would just hang out there in the morning, and then I'd be part of the announcements and all that stuff.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a typical day of your? Where did you work?
In high school, I didn't work just because one, I didn't have a car, and two, my parents really wanted me to focus on school and get into college. Um, so I didn't work until I got out of college, and when I got out of college, my first job was at a bridal store. And that was like most weekends, and like once or twice during the week. So
Cool. Awesome. Um, and then can you tell me about the town you grew up in?
yeah, so I grew up in pretty. I mean, like I'm from Tennessee, and everybody's pretty conservative there. Um, I where we're from, it's right outside Nashville, and it's pretty urban. That's the right word. Where it's like there's a lot of people. And I was like if we're going to like race and stuff, like I was predominantly surrounded by mostly white people. Um, like the only relationship that I had with like people of my color, so Hispanics, was whenever my mom and I we would have like we would go to parties with other members of the church and that were part of like the church stake there. Um, and yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's really
Um, can you tell me what happens when you go to your job on your first day or a school, like a new school, your first day of school? Sorry, that was
yeah.
a really hard question
Um,
that I couldn't word.
no, you're fine. I think it was school, like back home. Like there's so I went to State's University first. And so it was Middle Tennessee State University, and there was more people of color than there are here, at least in my classes here that I've experienced. There's definitely more people from like internationally here, um, but there's more people of color at Middle Tennessee State University. And so here it's just like weird sometimes because like I don't really see people like me often, and it's kind of disappointing to see that some days. Um, and also a little isolating sometimes in circumstances because like I'm taking a child and family advocacy class right now, and like people, a lot of them are white, and they don't understand that they have their own white privilege with that, and it's just kind of disrespectful in that way. So I think like with classes like starting on the first semester is like really trying to remember like this won't be my circumstances everywhere, but it is here, unfortunately. Um, and with work, work, I think most of my jobs, they did pretty well. With here, like my job here, like it's a great job, and I don't think they really base off anyone based on their color. But I think just because of the demographic of Idaho and like what students are here, it's just how it is. But back home, the first days there were fine. It's more of like the interactions that I had with customers that were more so like mean and rude.
Can you tell me about some of those like customer experiences?
Yeah. So last summer I worked at a coffee shop back home. My best friend was there. She got me the job. And like one time, like we'll get old white people come in, and this guy was just being mean to me, demanding all these things, blah blah blah, and then like I just go to do something else because I'm just like, this is ridiculous, and he's being mean to me just because of me being brown and Hispanic. And then as soon as my friend, and like I really am as polite as can be with strangers, blah blah blah. But he was just like rude to me, blah blah blah. And as soon as he had a Make America Great Again hat, and he and then once my friend came over who was white, started talking to him, he was nice as can be, and blah blah blah. Or I worked at a store, and like customers, or a boutique store, and customers would be mean to me, or rude, or wouldn't even bat an eye at me when I asked them like how they were doing, or like what can I do for them today. But as soon as like my white employee, not my employee, but my coworker would come over, they'd be again nice as can be, unlike how they treated me. And I don't know, I think you know me, I try to be nice to everyone, and they weren't nice to me just because of my skin tone. Or in high school, if you want to go back there, I was really the only, like, I mean, I wouldn't say I was the only, but, because there was, like, a good demographic of people, but, like, the people that I hung out with, like, I was trying to be cool kids, and, because my best friend she was with the cool kids, and so I would hang out with them, but they were all white kids. Or like with student council, that was more people of color, which was cool. And I'm not sure if like that says anything about like what people of color want to do or things. But yeah, and demographics of the school were kind of different, like just how people arrange themselves too. I don't know if that was necessarily based on our skin tone, but yeah. But then there were like racist people there, or like we would have like America Day, and that's why like I wish people would understand more, because I didn't understand it until my friend, because we were in charge of like the spirit days, you know, and like I made a suggestion of America Day, and she was like, no, like people come out with their Confederate flags and are racist and like awful, and the same thing like. And like that's like kind of like with everything going on now, with like people are really taking more of a stand of like Black Lives Matter and stuff. Like the American flag to me isn't something that I like to celebrate anymore, just because like people are still being hurt in our own country, and that's not okay. And like people, like we go to high school and like we're being made fun of, or I go to work and I'm not treated correctly because of my skin tone. Like it's 2021, but yeah.
What was the most interesting or challenging experience that you've ever had?
I just think when people are rude to us, like I can't remember when my mom and I were at this place. My mom's lighter than me, but people treat her differently for some reason. I think it's just because like she has an accent sometimes. but I was trying to get a COVID test, and she came with me to go to the doctor, and the lady was just awful to her, and I wish I had said something, because it was just disgusting, because as soon as I said something, she was like nice and whatever, and that's what's just like upsetting to me, is like people will be rude and then flip it when somebody seems American enough for them. And it's just dumb and ignorant.
How do you cope with these experiences or deal with these interactions?
I just get mad. But like this past like year, I'm still working on it, because like that incident with my mom, like that just happened, and I feel awful that I didn't stand up more. But like the guys, like Nathan, he said something rude and racially insensitive, and so I called him out on it, and I was like, no, like that's not okay, like you need to grow up, and like now, like I'm just like kind of fed up at the point, because I'm just like, you don't treat people that way, and like the biggest problem with it is that like the reason it's still here is because people will teach their children that's how you should act towards them, and like maybe not even like they teach them in a lesson, but like they teach them because of how they interact and being by example, and then that's how the child knows. Like a friend told me a story about how like he went on a mission in Idaho, in Timbuktu, part of Idaho, and the kid had never seen a black person before, but he saw one of his companions was a black missionary. He's like, why is this guy dirty? And like just ignorance and awful, and just like people don't teach their children how to treat other people correctly, and so that's my thing, is like I'm gonna call people out now, and if it makes them uncomfortable, it should, because that's awful and mean, and it should not be a problem anymore. It's not okay for people to be this way, and if they're racially insensitive, that's on them, because they're not reading, they also don't care, they're not empathetic about it, and it's like sitting in their privilege, because they know they never experienced this, and they never will, because like me saying white people is not the same as you saying like a black person or a brown person. Like there's stereotypes that white people put on us, and like the stereotypes that I'm putting on white people is because they have never experienced pain, while I've experienced pain, and black people have experienced pain based on our skin tone.
Good for you for standing up.
I'm trying.
I like that.
It's taken a long time, but I know. I just called out Nathan because I was like, no, like that's dumb.
Good for you. So you said you were part of student council. Did you participate in any other activities?
In high school, or just like in life?
In life.
Yeah. In high school, I was in a lot of things just because I was like trying to impress college. I was in cross country. I was on the dance team. I was on like all the national honor societies things. I was in DECA, which was like a dumb business thing. I don't know if you know what it is, but it's silly. And like all the cool kids do it, so you try to do it, and I'm just like, this is so dumb. And what else was I in? I went to all the baseball games because I was in love with all the baseball players. What else did I do?
Okay, we'll just.
In college, I was in a sorority, and in here, I'm part of the advocacy group or society, I guess. And then my internship, and I was part of the honor society at the state school too.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was your experience with these activities? and you don't have to like go through every single one. You could just
Yeah.
talk about some that you want to.
Cross country was okay. I'm not much of a runner. I kind of just did it to do a sport for a little bit.
I feel that.
I was literally dead last for most of the races. But the coach was this big guy, and which was funny, and he particularly just talked to the people who were the best runners. And I don't know, a lot of them were white, so I don't know if he was helping just the white people or what. But there were people of color on the team, and they were all great. But I don't know, like, just looking back at it, maybe he was just paying attention to people who were white, because there were great runners of all things. But I don't know if, like, I don't remember how fast everybody was, so I don't know. In student council, I loved it. It was really a welcoming environment. All the teachers, like, we even hung out, we'd have dinners even after I graduated college. Like, it's super nice. One of them I call Mama Peck, and she's so good. In student council, one of the guys that was our partners, or like, he was also student body vice president, so there's 2 vice presidents, and then treasurer, president, all other positions. And so he died a year out of college in a car accident. Yeah, it was super sad, just awful. And because it was the first person I knew in my personal life who died, besides like my great grandparents. I didn't know them really personally. I knew him more, and that was hard. So that brought us even more closer. So we all keep in touch still. Like, Mama Peck helped me, like, she helped make points on like where I wanted to go for graduate school, and like we had coffee with her. Well, not coffee, like she had coffee and I had a hot chocolate, but like my sister and I went with her, and we keep up with her kids. I'm friends with all of them. Ajika I see at least once a year because she lives in DC now, but her family's at home still. And what else? The sorority was a good time that first semester. And then after that, it just kind of became like about partying and stuff. Because like the reason I did it is because I'm big on service work, and like I want to help people because I feel like we deserve more in this country. And other people deserve more too. And I just want to do my part because I feel like I can help people. I don't know. But so that's why I did it, and then also because like everybody else was doing it too, and I liked it for a little bit. There was like few people of color. I don't think that was on purpose. I think it was just because they want, like, I don't know if like how many people of color really try for it or what. But they also want like certain fitting stones, you know, and so you have to be like really, I don't know, not that people of color, I don't know, it's just like they want certain things from you. And it's also like, that's the other thing too that frustrates me is like people of color don't have as many opportunities as white people do. And that may be because of money, but I also feel like money shouldn't be the main factor in like how you succeed in life. Like, there should be opportunities for people of color to succeed, and like give them opportunities, not just because they're good at sports or because they're really smart, but because like they can do things, they can build stuff, like they are really great scientists or whatever, you know, like because it's like 3 times harder for me to do something, to accomplish something, to get the recognition than it is for a white person, you know. And I have to fit a mold so that I could get whatever. What else? Honor Society was okay. This is a lot of work that I didn't like, so is that? And DECA, I just think was dumb, but I did really well in it.
Oh, good.
We went to the national thing in Orlando like one year, and we got like top 10. So that was fun. Yeah, it's pretty good. I would say I'm more blessed than others. I wouldn't say I'm more blessed, but just like how things worked out and like how like my circumstances weren't as bad as others, I would say.
Awesome. What do you hate most that people do unknowingly, like that they're oblivious to?
I think it's just like when people sit in their privilege and don't think about others, like they're not empathetic, like or like the "where are you from" question I think is really gross and like racist sometimes. I'm just like because like I was born here. I don't ask you where you're from, or like you're from Wyoming, and I'm like, no, like where are you from? Like that's not like I don't automatically sue, and then to make that notion seem like, oh, like because you're not from the U.S., like you're belittled. Like there are far better countries than us, and like that's something else that annoys me is like a lot of people think that we're the best, and we really are not the best. Like if you do research, like we are not succeeding in many things. We do have a lot of freedoms, but so do other countries. And like other countries have more, like they just have better opportunities, and like people can succeed easier. And like here, like there's definitely a lot of options for you. And I am grateful I was born here. But I do think like people are so close-minded, and it goes back to like how we're raised. And so I wish people would raise their children better. Not that I've raised children, you know, but just like I don't know, just people being ignorant and racially insensitive because they sit in their privilege.
Who? You don't have to like name a name of a person, but like just take this question as you. Just answer this question how you feel like you want to answer it. Who was the most surprising person that showed you prejudice?
I don't know. I think maybe it's just like the guys I meet in my life. Because like that's what's funny to me is like when I look back at it. Well, maybe even like one of my closest friends. Growing up, like she's started to send me TikToks, and sometimes they're like really racially sensitive, and I'm just like, really, like, and like I didn't know how to talk about it with her. Or she follows Trump on Instagram, even though he doesn't have Instagram anymore. But like, it's just like that's what kind of blows my mind. And if you support Trump, then by all means, like do whatever you want. But just like that's what breaks my heart during all of this is like this man has obviously been racist to countless of people, and he will always be racist, and that's what he plays on to get people to vote for him, and just seeing the people who would support him that I care deeply for, and he's obviously hurting people of my skin tone, people of darker skin tones. He didn't care that George Floyd was hurt. He didn't care that he was separating families at the border. he doesn't care about women, and people still supported him. And I'm just like, so that's what hurt the most, was seeing people post about him and be like, oh, praise Trump, blah blah blah. That's what hurts. Or like whenever The Bachelorette or The Bachelor with Matt James, and the girl Rachel was like people found out that she was at a Confederacy party, which is like where fraternities in the South will host a party and celebrate the Confederacy. And they say they're celebrating like the Civil War and the history of that, but like that history was obviously blatantly racist. And so I think with that, just like people who were like trying to say like she's fine, like what she did, like she went to that party and like people were trying to say that she was okay, and like it doesn't matter that she went to this party, like it's one mistake, and it's like no, like it's her sitting in her privilege, and not realizing what that means and how that hurts other people. And so when people are just not empathetic, like our neighbor over there, you know, and that's like when guys, people close to me, like just, it's mostly guys, I think, white men, like they will never, I won't say never, but just like they rarely are empathetic, and even towards white women, you know, like again going back to Trump, like he does not give a rat's butt about anyone, you know, he even talks gross about his own daughter, like, and just like people supporting him, people who are racially insensitive. So I don't know if I can pick one person, because thankfully no one's been, besides strangers, been really racially mean to me. I think it's just people being ignorant and racially insensitive and sitting in their privilege.
Got it. And then last question. So you said that you tell people off, for lack of a better sentence. How do people like deal with this? Do they ever like fight back with you? Do they ever like give you weird, disgusted looks? Or most of the time they're just like, oh shoot, I'm doing this.
Yeah, so I've only done it since being back out here, because I'm just kind of fed up at this point, because it's just kind of silly, especially with people in the church, because I'm like, I was telling Matt this too, I was like, this church is founded on being like Christ, and like we're supposed to love one another like he did. And just I find it so funny that a lot of these people, a lot of members, I wouldn't say a lot, a good portion of members, only really love their own. And so I think with telling people off, like I really try to just do it, and I try to sound smart, I don't know, but just like with our neighbor over there, I just told him like, no, like you are being racist right now, like that was totally racist, racially insensitive, and he was kind of like caught off guard that I told him that, and he was like, oh, like shoot, you were right, or like earlier, there was guys out there talking about, that's so gay. I'm just like, dude, we don't say that, like that's not okay. I didn't say that to him because like they didn't keep saying it, but I was about to go out there and do that, because it's just like, I don't know, again, it's people sitting in their privilege and not ever experiencing any actual pain.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your
Of course.
answers.
Sorry, and I hope you don't think I'm attacking you.
No, you're fine. Can you hit the
Yes.
Can you turn it off?